Welcome to the Making the Brand Show with Damian and Timeesha Duncan. Each week, power couple Damian and Timeesha are taking you behind the scenes to share their stories on creating a successful brand while tackling your biggest business struggles. Their mission? To help you build the business and life of your dreams today.
So, Kimra, thank you so much for being on this show. We are so super excited to talk to you. I'm going to dig all up into your business because I know there's things that I want to know. I have been following your brand since 2014, and I know that our listeners are very excited to hear about your story and your brand. So those of you that are listening, Kimra Luna is a personal branding and online business strategist. She helps freedom-seeking entrepreneurs to stand out, captivate their audience's attention, and monetize their authentic brands online. Since Kimra's start in May 2014, she's grown her email list and combined social media following to over 100,000 people. Kimra has over 5,000 students signed up for her online programs. She has her signature program, Be True Brand You, that has over 1,000 students enrolled. As I said, I've been following your brand since inception, so I know the backstory of going from welfare to grossing over $1 million in your first year of business, and you have 3 children, and just being a mompreneur and navigating the system of entrepreneurship. But I would love for you, because I don't want to mess up your story and I want to fill in the gaps for those that are listening. So can you just talk to us briefly about how you got started?
Yeah, I'm kind of one of those people that was kind of born to be an entrepreneur. I started my first business when I was 17. I was booking concerts for a living. So basically, I started a booking agency. I didn't even know that that was even a thing. Like, I was just like, oh, I'm just going to start booking all these punk bands and like see what happens, right? The first year doing that, I made close to $100,000 in that year booking concerts. And there I am, like 18 years old, doing my taxes for the first time. And the tax guy's like, do you have a business license? Like all this stuff. I was like, I'm supposed to have a business license? Like, oh my gosh, like, am I doing something illegal? You know, like, but anyways, we got it sorted out. And so I've always just been an entrepreneur. I've always kind of just naturally had that hustle inside of me. And then after a few years after that, I ended up, and I'm born and raised in Idaho. So I'm from a small place, not from like big city or anything like that. And I ended up moving to California, and that's where I met my now ex-husband, the father of my kids. And when I met him, it was like 2006-ish. But by the time 2008 came, the economy had crashed. People weren't going to concerts anymore. My, booking concerts was really just fizzling away. And at that same time, I ended up pregnant with my first son. I ended up living at my in-laws' house on welfare. We were on welfare for about 4 years, struggling, trying to get jobs. I was doing everything from like working in yogurt shops. Like I was the oldest person because all the employees were teenagers. Like I was doing anything, getting any job I could to try to, help my family survive. I was also doing other side businesses. So I had Etsy shops to network marketing companies to anything you could think of. I was like trying it to make money to provide for my family. And anyways, after 4 years, my ex, he finally got a solid job working as a FedEx driver. And so this was our like escape off of welfare. So we were like, oh my gosh, like we're going to make it off of welfare. Like this is amazing. Like accomplishment, because a lot of people, once they're on, it's a vicious cycle. It's very difficult to get off. And I was raised on welfare. My mother was a single mother with 5 kids. And so it was, it was very, very difficult. I was raised in that, and I didn't want to raise my children in that. It was so heart-wrenching to me to know that I wasn't able to provide for my kids, right? So finally, my ex gets a great job. We ended up moving to Virginia. So we were in California with his family. We ended up moving to Virginia. And the reason why my business started growing, my online presence started growing, is because I became a bored housewife. It was just me and the 2 kids. I had no friends, no family around. And I was just like, I have my iPhone, and so I had Facebook groups on my iPhone. And I started a mommy blog in 2012, this was. So I started this mommy blog. It started growing really fast. I had a YouTube channel with it. My Pinterest, like was the main place I was like bumping, like getting all the blog traffic. And I was able to really grow a solid community. And after growing that for almost a year, I had people asking me how I did it. They were like, how have you been able to grow this, you know, blog following and things like that? And that's what led me to my current business. So I ended up scrapping the blog, and I decided I'm going to go all in and teach people social media, teach people marketing, teach people personal branding. And I just went like hardcore, like all in. I was like, I got nothing to lose, right? And I started doing that, and I opened my Freedom Hackers website May 2014. And at that point, I had no followers. I had really nothing. And I started a Facebook group, my Freedom Hackers Mastermind Facebook group. And that group now has like 44,000 followers in it, or something, maybe more than that now. It grows so fast, I don't even know. Because we usually have about 700 to 800 requests a day. And that me and my team have to sort through. But yeah, so we started growing really rapidly, very quickly. And I started doing that all from just sharing my knowledge. Like I really hadn't, nailed down like a perfect business plan or anything like that. I was just like, oh, well, maybe I'll sell like some online courses. Like I was just like, maybe I'll do that. It turns out people wanted me to coach them. People wanted me to, like, all these things started happening. And then I ended up developing my Beat Your Brand You program, which on the first launch, which I'd only been in business for 3 months, and my first launch of my Beat Your Brand You program, it was $1,200 at the time. It's since the price has changed, but it was $1,200 at the time, and I ended up doing $65,000 in sales.
Wow.
And I'd only been in business 3 months, so I was just like,
whoa, right.
Like what is going on? Like, this is craziness. And I really didn't ever sacrifice changing or trying to be how other people are. My website, I had made it myself. I didn't even have like a fancy smancy, like my website's fancy smancy now, but back then it was not. It was just like plain basic website that people could opt into with their email list. Like it wasn't super fancy. But the thing I always have done is I always provided people with what they wanted. Mm-hmm. And I'm very, very much a person who still to this day, I contact people directly and ask them what they need, what they want, what they're struggling with, what their problems are. And my Beat Your Brand You program solved so many problems. That's why it was able to make so many sales.
Awesome. And I mean, we definitely love your story, because for the listeners that are always looking for everything, all of their ducks to be in a row, all the I's to be dotted and all the T's to be
crossed. There was
crossed.
no ducks in a row.
Exactly. That's the whole point. You have to act in imperfection.
Yes.
Your website is not up to par. Again, like you said, there are people that have problems and you have the solution to. So you can't suppress your knowledge and your content thinking that people are going to still now. And then the fact of the matter is, everybody isn't your audience. Everybody isn't your client. So you can't be afraid to act in imperfection. You can't be afraid to share your content, and you can't be afraid to create a solution to somebody.
Yeah. So get this, even currently, okay, so I just launched a new membership site. It's a $20 a month membership site. I'd never done a membership site before. And I don't even have a sales page for the freaking thing. I just send people to a checkout cart, because I'm just like, I ain't got time for this. Like, I was in the middle of the holidays. I was moving. I moved to another place. I'm now a single mother. I was like, I ain't got time to freaking build a sales page. I ain't got time to write the copy for the dang sales page. Like, I'm just going to crank out a bunch of emails real fast and send people like the link. Like, that's it. Like I don't even have a sales page for my thing. And this is 3 years into business. Like I'm too lazy to make it right now. Right. So it doesn't have to be perfect. And I still don't do things perfect. There's still a lot of imperfections that are going on in my business. It's never going to be perfect. Yeah. It's a waste of time to try to be perfect. It's better to spend your time going out there, getting your message in front of people and getting a client and a customer than it is to make sure every single thing looks exactly perfect.
And you also made a great point, Kimra, about, a lot of entrepreneurs these days, they just depend on email marketing, email automation, just automation, period, thinking that is always going to reach out to their clients. Now, here you are, a successful mompreneur, entrepreneur, and you're out there still getting on the phone, getting belly to belly with your audience and finding out.
I call them through the Facebook app. I call people.
Yes.
So like I'll make a post and people will comment on the post. And if they say something, I just go to their profile right on my phone and I call them through the phone and just be like, and if they don't answer, I just leave a little voicemail, say, hey, it's Kimra Luna here. I saw your answer on my post. You know, I would love to get some more feedback from you because I'm trying to create an amazing product and some amazing offering around that thing you're struggling with. Like, hit me up. Like, you know, call me back. Like, let's chat, you know, and people call me back, you know, like, and it's
like, oh my God, is this real? Is Kimra real?
Yeah. Well, some people are like that. Some people do a little bit of fangirling. But you know, most of the people, they're really surprised that I do that. But I say, how do you think I've been able to make amazing sales? I'm not an epic salesperson. I have no sales training. I'm actually pretty terrible at sales. If people watch my webinar presentations and they're a sales master, they would be like, oh my God, this girl's messing up everything. You know, I'm not a master at sales. I just teach people stuff. I show my knowledge. I say, this is what I'm an expert at. If you want what I have to offer, get in. Like, I don't need to be so fancy smancy all the time. And I'm not. Like, I'm very just spontaneous. Like, I love to just do live streams and just talk to people. You know, most of my webinars, I don't even have nice slides created. I just have like a Google Doc with a bunch of notes and I'm just like talking to people. You know, like it's never perfect and it still isn't. 3 million in sales later, it still is not perfect. I don't want it to be. I don't need it to be. I would rather just be myself rather than stressing about all those little tiny things that don't even matter in the long run. You know, I'm still able to serve, right? Like, I still create the product. That's what matters.
And I think that that's what makes you so special. Mm-hmm. And that's what makes people really gravitate to you. Even for myself, because I felt a connection with you back then because you were so real. It was like, there was something different about you than what everybody else was saying. First of all, your style is just so awesome and unique and different. And I love that you embrace your style. Like, nobody was doing that at that time.
No.
Now, a whole bunch of clones, little Kimra Luna's running around. But back then, you know, that the one thing that is that you came in, got then, you know, here I am, and here's the information. And I know that you're very big on sharing valuable content with people.
Yeah.
That's your utmost.
Yeah, I tell my students value, high value is what really matters. You know, that's the way to stand out. A lot of people right now, they're freaking out about, the Facebook algorithms or Instagram algorithms. And I'm like, if your content is super dope, people will come and view your content. They don't need to see it in the newsfeed. They're going to want to go to your page every day. Exactly. They're going to put you on see first on Facebook because they're going to like your content so much. Your stuff needs to be high quality, and it always does. And I've always been that way. Like, I have always made high quality from the beginning. Like, I don't just throw things out there. That's why you don't see I have a jillion blog posts or a jillion YouTube videos or a jillion, like, even Instagram posts. I don't just throw stuff. I talk to my audience, I find out what they really need, and I dive deep and write good quality content for them, good quality course material for them, because I know that they're not going to get results if it's crappy quality anyway. So, and my goal is for people to get results. I mean, there is this one woman, she watched one of my free webinars and ended up making $80,000 in sales from something she watched from me that's free. All right. Your free content needs to have high quality where people can get results. Even the free stuff. That doesn't even include the paid stuff. Yes, the paid stuff, of course, you know, and now I have students in my paid programs. One of them has done $500,000 in the past year. Another one is about to hit, I have several who are about to hit their first 6 figures this year. So it's like, I know it gets them results. And that's the high quality content. That's what really matters. If your content isn't good, then you're going to stay at the bottom of the barrel. That's just the truth. You know, if you want to be at the top, like, your content has to be amazing. That's just it.
Let me ask you this question, because I know you're no stranger to live streaming. And of course you had, you know, your first breakout into online entrepreneurship. At least when I first got connected to you, was you were teaching about how to create webinars, and you would, you know, that was a big thing for you. And so you understood what it took to put yourself out there and to help other people put themselves out there. But there are a lot of people who are afraid. Like, that's the one thing that's holding them back from stepping in front of the camera, from hitting that publish or that go live. And I know that that has been very instrumental in your brand exploding. So how, and not to mention, and I'll say this for myself, as a mom of 2 small kids, I knew when I first started out, I knew my kids were like crying and screaming and running around, and I felt like, oh my God, I don't want people to see the chaos that happens, you know, behind the scenes. And so that even was a challenge for me. I finally got over myself. And the kids, like I told you, the kids will be running in and out. We'll do what we got to do with them because that's life. Yeah. But it was a struggle. So how did you overcome that as a mom of 3 small boys?
Yeah, when I first started, I only had 2 of the boys. And then as I got into that $65,000 launch, I was like, oh, I'm pregnant with my 3rd. So I was actually pregnant, being on camera. I mean, I didn't feel good about myself. I was gaining weight. I was like, ugh, I feel all slumpy. I was nauseated all the time. But I knew if I got my message in front of enough people, I could keep the momentum going in my business. So I just didn't stop. A lot of women, when they would have got pregnant at that point, because I was only 3 months in business, they would have just stopped. Right. You know, and I was like, no, I want to keep the momentum going because mama has a goal of getting a nanny. Like, you know, so I was like, that's my goal. Like, I got to get a nanny. So the biggest thing for me, though, was I knew that it worked. I saw everybody that was out there that was actually making good money was doing webinar presentations. And then later, eventually, it was live streams when like Periscope came out, then Facebook Live came out and things like that. So it was always webinar presentations. I was like, dude, the ones who are the ones rolling in the dough, they're doing webinars. So I'm going to learn how to do that too. And I've always kind of had my own method to my madness when it came to webinars. I don't really do it the same way most people do because I do a lot of screen sharing. I show a lot of how-tos. I like to have the camera on me a bunch where I'm just like talking to people and just interacting. And so I do things a little bit differently than other people, but I knew that being able to talk to an audience, that's how you make money. It's the same as if you went to Starbucks and talked to a person in line and told them what you did for a living. Except with the webinar, I got to do it to lots of people all at once. And that's what the difference is like it wasn't just one-to-one. Mm-hmm. And I have nothing against having one-to-one clients. I currently have 2 one-to-one clients. I don't take very many on because I'm pretty expensive, so most people can't afford me anymore. But back in the day, I did have, one-to-one clients as well as selling digital courses. But once I got pregnant and got so nauseated, I was just like, okay, I got to scrap these one-to-ones. And I didn't do one-to-one clients for over, 18 months. I didn't have any one-to-one clients or group coaching clients at all. And I had to solely rely on selling digitally. And that can actually be harder than getting one-to-one clients. A lot of people say, oh, I can't get a one-to-one client. I say, yes, you can. You just need to open your mouth. You're just not opening your mouth enough. To sell digital, you need to be growing your list actively. You need to be growing your community actively. You need to be building trust in people because they're not going to buy something digitally from you if they don't trust you, right? So that was a big learning thing for me. And so one of the things I did because I know we wanted to talk a bit about, how I built that authority was because, I'm like this chick with the blue hair and looking all weird. I just are people even really going to take me seriously? Doing webinars made people take me seriously. It forced them to because they were like, oh, this chick is showing me her expertise. They couldn't deny it. If I would have just went out there and just started doing these little blogs here and there and not really expressing how the skill that I had, I wanted to be able to build the authority, to be able to have, multiple 6-figure launches and then later 7-figure launches. I had to show my skill. And that's what's so great about webinars, about live stream, about video content. YouTube is one of the most underutilized places right now for entrepreneurs. I don't know what the hell the entrepreneurs are not doing on there. All the beauty bloggers, they're kicking butt.
Yeah, we keep telling them.
We tell people, get your YouTube explicit words together because YouTube is an unsung hero that are making people millions of dollars because that's the place where you get to learn not only to get to know the person, but you're getting the how-to to do this. And man, I wish YouTube was really prevalent when I was in college because I wouldn't have, had that big old bill to pay. So, YouTube is where it's at. And,
and people aren't using it, and it needs to be used. If anybody's listening to this and you get one thing out of this, go do YouTube and do it consistently. The more consistent you are with YouTube, the more YouTube rewards you. They put your stuff up front for people to see if you are consistent. It has this different type of community vibe. It's different than Facebook. It's different than Instagram. It has this community vibe, and your peeps that are following you on there, they really feel like they know you. And it's such a powerful platform. If you think about the people like Kim Kardashian, Khloe Kardashian, I'm sorry, but these chicks, they're not that talented at anything. I'm sorry, they're not. Their skill set is not really that great. Some of their products are even crap. You can see the reviews. People are like, oh, it's crap. But guess what? People buy from them because they feel like they're their sister. They feel like that girl's my sister. I can hang out with her. I can chill with her. And that's why they buy from her. And when you do YouTube, that's how people start feeling about you. They feel like, hey, I can chill with this person. I want to be there's people who have bought from me because they said, well, I feel like you're my bestie. Literally, that's what they said when I asked them in the survey. They said, I feel like you're my bestie, Kimra. And so when you could get people to trust you that much where they feel like you are besties, you know that you're going to make sales.
Yeah, because we always stress that in order for a client, to do business with you, they have to know, like, and trust you.
Yep.
So in order to know, like, and trust you, you got to show up. You got to be authentically you. And you have so many people who are watching successful people like yourself and, the Gary V's of the world or whoever you want to name, and they try to emulate themselves or imitate what they're doing instead of looking themselves in the mirror and just being authentically them. And they don't understand how organic that experience can be for them. And then also you have so many entrepreneurs who are putting out material that they think people want when they're, like you said, they're not calling them up and asking them, what do you want to learn? What are you struggling with? Instead of just saying what you want to do, ask them and get belly to belly with them, and you'll get the answers that you need.
Yeah, and that's so important. It's so crucial, and it has been how I have built my business since the very beginning. I saw this one other woman. She had made this big post about she's like, oh, I never survey my audience. I just make the things I want, blah blah blah, all this sort of stuff. And I say, and is your bank account 7 figures yet? What is this doing for you? I don't understand why. You would be literally refusing to really discover and dive deep into your ideal customers, because your product can't be that high quality if you're not asking them what they need. I mean, even in my program, if there's something missing, I add a new video in. I say, oh my gosh, that is something I need to cover that. Thank you so much for asking that question. I'm going to make a video on that this week. Let me add that into the membership site for everybody. I do that because it is important, because I want to be the best teacher. And when you're making digital courses, you're becoming a teacher. You're becoming the leader of those people that buy from you. And you need to be on your toes on what they're learning. If you put your kids in elementary school, right, and your second graders struggling with math, right, would you be pissed if the teacher didn't start helping them and actually giving them what they needed? Yes, you'd be pissed off. So it's the same way if you're a teacher online. You need to be being okay, they're struggling with this. Let's make this better. Let's enhance this. Maybe even a more advanced version of the program you sell. Maybe they get the some of the nuts and bolts in the beginning, but maybe they need something that's deeper. You could have a second product. So you need to keep asking. And it's, like I said, it's been so crucial for my business over the years. Another way that I built authority really quickly was creating brand videos around me, around my story. When I was, nice and bigly pregnant, I decided to make a brand video, but I was like, how can I really express what I do in this video? Because mostly I'm on webinars. I'm mostly on my computer, you know what I mean? So how do I express that? So what I did is I did a free event at my house, because I had this big, huge house in California, because everybody in California has big houses, right? So I had this huge house in California. So I invited people to come to my house, and we filmed a video of me teaching and talking in front of everybody. And we used those sort of clips so people could see, oh, she's a teacher. Right. And at the time, I wasn't doing a lot of public speaking because, like I said, I was hugely pregnant. I didn't want to travel a lot and stuff. I was nauseated, so I did this event, and that video alone made people want to buy from me. I did that video. I pushed it out on Facebook ads during my launch. And that launch in particular, I ended up making $750,000 in sales. This was my second launch. So my first launch was $65,000, and I was able to jump to $750,000. In between that time, I was just growing my list. I wasn't really selling anything to them at all. Like I was just like, oh, I'm just going to wait until like I have something really juicy to sell to them again. Right. And I spent so much time growing my list. My list was about 13,000 at the time I did that $750,000 launch. And it was totally worth it to grow my list. And I feel so many people, they lack when it comes to list building. They just don't even try, you know, they just like, oh, there's an opt-in on my website. Yeah, but if there's no traffic going to your website or nobody's seeing it, like how do they even know to opt in?
So how did you grow your list? What were some of the things that you did to grow your list?
So the biggest thing, of course, was webinar presentations. So using webinars, I promoted most of those through Facebook ads. So yes, I spent money to make money. That's exactly what I did.
You gotta pay the
Yes, and I just made a post the other day on my Facebook page because I logged into my Power Editor, and then it's like, oh, you spent $299,000. I was like, damn, like that's a lot of money I've spent on ads. Like I was like, and I thought it was more like around the 200,000 mark, not close to 300,000. I was like, oh my gosh, I spent a lot on ads. But we've done 3 million in sales over that time. And I started off small. So the way I would do it in the beginning is, so say I had a webinar and I was going to pitch something that was $200. I would say, okay, I'm going to spend $200 to promote this webinar, because if I make one sale, that means I broke even. If I don't make any sales, at least I got a bunch of leads, right? And so that was kind of like the method to my madness. I was just like, okay, if I make one sale, I can break even. The first webinar I did that on, I ended up making 5 sales. So I spent $200 and I ended up making 1,000. I was like, holla, like this is amazing. Like, this is like epic. Like I'm going to keep doing these Facebook ads. And so I kept doing it. And I've kind of just rinsed and repeated that. Another thing I did was I had lots of different free offers. So one of my most popular free offers is a Facebook ad swipe file. It's like a 23-page file that like teaches all sorts of, you know, amazing stuff about examples of ads I've done over the years. That one is that freebie crushes it. Anytime I promote it, it crushes it. I also had mini courses. So I had this one course that was called Making Money with Webinars. In a 3-month period of time, I got like 3,000 people on my list from that. And that was before that $750,000 launch. I really wanted to do some rapid list building before I got into the launch. During my launches, I actually don't do a lot of list building during the launches. I'm actually more just targeting those people that are already my followers, that are already primed and closer to buying from me.
Right.
I don't waste a lot of time trying to sell to cold. And the reason why is because I'm just not a super great salesperson. Like that's really the honest reason. I'm not the best salesperson. It's much easier for me to sell to people that already have built up, like you said, that know, like, and trust factor. They've already built it up already. And then I get on a webinar with them, I present to them, and they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know about your program. I'm super stoked. I want to get in, right? So I always do list building through like free offers, free like little mini courses. I've had some mini courses that nobody wanted to download, right? So scratch that idea. You know, so I've had plenty of things that didn't work on Facebook ads, but most of the stuff have been webinars and little mini courses. That's what people wanted from me, so that's what I stuck with. My swipe file, that's been a really, really huge one. I also have this one freebie that's the 7 elements of a successful brand, and it's like 30-something pages. That one I do get a lot of. I've had over 20,000 people download that. Wow. And my list size currently is 50,000. There's been about 20,000 people have opted out or just not been active, you know, after they've been on my list. So there's about 50,000 people that are like my active list that actually continually open emails. But yeah, that's 3 years time, you know, and I probably could have grown even more than that if I would have put like more money in and things like that. But sometimes I kind of want to put my feet on the pedal and like chill a little bit. And, you know, 2018, I'm heavily going to be focusing on YouTube and Instagram as my main sources for list building because Facebook ads are starting to get a little bit more expensive for me. So I would much rather focus on some free places. And I want to put content on those places anyway. Like I love both of those platforms. So, you know, that way I'm not only Facebook focused, I can like start growing in my other places as well.
And back to YouTube, that unsung hero to go and do advertisements there. People don't understand the power in YouTube. But also, you made some great points about, you know, understanding your limits. Well, I don't want to say limitations, but your strengths and weaknesses. Where you say you're not a great seller, but what you are good at is being a great sales conversationalist. So by creating content that creates results for people, that's allowing you to create that warm audience. So you don't even have to really sell. So, one of the things we say is the point of effective marketing is almost making the selling process unnecessary.
Yeah.
And
or at least a lot easier.
At least a lot easier. And what you said was a lot of people spend time in looking for that new client when they have people right in their back in their garage or front yard where they can, they're warm audiences. They know what you create for them, and they're not even marketing to them.
Yeah.
And then another thing that you talked about too was, if you have a great distribution list or email list that allows you, regardless to if there's a algorithm change, you can literally steer them in the direction where you want them to play at. It could be Snapchat, it could be Periscope. But once you create distribution and you create value for them, it doesn't matter where you want to do it. You could do it on a webinar. So that's a great perk of having an email list that's following you and they're very active with what you're doing.
Yeah, and when your email list is active, it really makes it so that you don't have to worry, like you said, about algorithm changes, about those sorts of things. And inside of my Be True Brand You Facebook group, we're doing this challenge for the month of January, which is called The Fortune is in the Follow-Up. And because that's really true. It's the truth. The fortune's in the follow-up.
Sound like Grant Cardone.
Huh?
That sounds Grant Cardone-ish.
Yeah. So, and I think he coined that phrase maybe years and years and years ago. But yeah, so the fortunes in the follow-up challenge is like this little challenge for all my paid students. And so I said, instead of focusing so much on finding new people, go back and contact the people that you have already been in contact with before and say, hey, like, it's the new year. Like, do you want to work with me? Like, let's connect, like build those relationships back up again. Email your list a few extra times. Don't be scared of feeling like you're sleazy. Everyone always says that. Oh, I'm scared to sound sleazy. They want to buy from you. They opted into your email list. They're saying yes. They're raising their hand and saying, I love your content. They wouldn't have got on your email list if they didn't love it or want it, so sell to those people. And we've been calculating how much sales people have been making. And within 1 week, we already did over $100,000 in sales from my students. They were just going out and reaching back out to people. They were like, oh yeah, I closed this client for $2,000. I closed this client for $5,000. Like, they were just going back out, reaching out to people that they'd already spoken to. And I think we really forget that. We forget that following up is important. And so on my calendar, I have Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I have a half an hour every day where I focus on following up with people. And sometimes it's not necessarily to make a sale. Maybe sometimes it's just someone I'm networking with because I know I want to get on their podcast or I want to be on their YouTube channel or whatever. So I'm always spending time following up with people. It's so crucial, so important. So everybody go back, follow up with those people. It works. It totally works.
It's almost like, you have to have a level of the ability to literally stalk them. Like to have a stalk, that's not the best word.
Don't be stalker.
It sounds a little creepy, but you understand. Instead of saying stalking, remarketing, retargeting, a lot of people, again, it's easier to close a warm lead than trying to go out. It's going to cost you a ton of money to get a cold lead.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Cold leads are more expensive. It's a little bit harder to sell to them immediately. So that's why, I grow my list, and then I launch a product. Mm-hmm. And when I launch that product, I have a doors closing, typically, not always, but the doors closing to that product. And then that makes it so that, there's some urgency there. People get in. But it's so much easier if they've already been on my list for a while. And even like my Be True Brand You program, was another thing. So this is another thing about surveying people. So my Be True Brand You program now has over 1,500 students in the program over the past 3 years. That's how many people have enrolled. And when every single time people enroll, I have them, the first thing they do is they fill out a survey, which is like, I call it like my new student intake form, because I said, I use the information here to make better content for you, to help you reach your goals, yada, yada, yada. Mm-hmm. And one of the questions that I ask in there is, why did you buy from me? And a lot of people would say, I bought from you because your story is inspirational, right? So now when I'm teasing my Be True Brand You program and I say, oh, hop on the wait list. The doors are going to open in March or April or whenever. Hop on the wait list if you want more information, right? I send them a series that is my story. So I'm not even selling anything to them. I'm just pitching. I'm just literally saying, hey, like, this is my story. Because when people read that story, I get so many emails back that are like, oh my gosh, Kimra, I'm crying. And like, all this stuff. And that makes people buy from me though. Mm-hmm. People want to be with somebody that that vibes with them, that has the same energy that they're looking for, and so that's why I always share that story. I think a lot of people, they think, oh, well, I shared my story. You need to keep sharing it. Yeah. Keep on sharing it. Keep on sharing it. A lot of other people also think they don't even have a story. And the thing is we all do. We all have ways that we can inspire others. Inspiration is value. A lot of people don't think that is. Why do you think it was like so popular for so long to post inspirational quotes on everything? Mm-hmm. Because there's value in that. We want to be inspired. Humans crave that. So share your story. If you're not good at sharing your story, go find a speech coach who can help you develop your story really well. You need to be good at sharing that story. And the beginning of your webinars, you share your story. And everybody's story is different. Everybody has gone through struggles and pain in their lives, and we all have made it to the other side. And sometimes we're still in it. Sometimes a new pain comes, but we all still have our stories, and it's very important to share. And that's, again, why YouTube is so valuable, why doing webinars is so valuable. Those are places that are so easy to share your stories. And if you're someone who is still shy about getting on videos, I recommend, again, having a speech coach who can who works with public speaking. It's a necessary skill to have, to be able to speak and share stories, because facts tell, stories sell. Mm-hmm. That is how it is. People are going to buy based off of a story more than they're going to buy if you just give them linear facts, right?
It's hard for you to share parts of your story, because I know some of your story goes really deep into some things that have occurred in your childhood, and most people are afraid to talk about those things. So was that easy for you in the beginning, or was that something that you had to warm up to?
It's always been easy for me, and I think the reason why is because I always remember, I'm just like, would Oprah not say this? Would Lisa Nichols not say this? You know what I mean? Like, no, they would say it because they know how many people it's going to inspire. They know the impact it's going to have. And I haven't even gotten to share everything, really. Most people, they see kind of the surface level story of like, oh, like Kimra was on welfare and now she's doing multiple 7-figure business, yada, yada. They see that, but they don't really know like the hardships that I had to go through as a child. I was abused from in the womb even. My mother was abused while she was pregnant with me. And then after the womb, I was still abused constantly. I had family members who broke my bones. I've had my oldest brother tried to murder me. I was called stupid every single day of my life. I mean, I had so much horrific stuff happening to me as a child. And I had to come to the point where I was just like, I'm just not going to let this stuff hold me back anymore. Like, I'm done. And by the time I became an adult, I was already just completely fed up with it. I moved away immediately from my family because I was like, I'm not going to be treated this way. And I just like, peace out, sayonara, everyone. And I just left. And that's when I started learning about personal development. My ex-husband introduced me to it. We were dating for only a few weeks. My mother had actually cheated on my stepdad, and I was really worried about this because I had 2 younger siblings who I basically raised, and I thought my stepdad was going to leave my mom, and he was the only one that made any money. And so I thought, oh my gosh, like my sister, my little brother, they're going to be high and dry. Like, what am I supposed to do? I moved far away because I didn't want to be away from all the abuse. And so there's all this guilt and all these horrible things happening. I started having really high blood pressure. I was having panic attacks every single day. And I'm like 20 years old and I basically feel like I'm dying, at this point. And I met my now ex-husband. I met him and he introduced me to the movie The Secret. And it was like the movie had just came out, and it came out at the perfect timing for me. I really believe in that divine timing. Like that was like the like the heaven's gates were open and like the light was like shining on me, like angels were singing, and like that. Like I needed it so badly, and I really feel we all have these moments in time where we're just like, oh my gosh, that changed. That's where everything changed, and those are the stories people want to hear. And I know that I can't hold back anymore. My ex-husband, he didn't like me to share a lot of things about being molested when I was a kid. I was raped when I was 20. I was actually raped 3 months before I met him. 3 months before I watched that movie, The Secret.
Wow.
And so I really want to share those things though. And now that I'm separated, I'm just like, oh well, I guess I just share whatever I want, right? So now I am a bit more open about some of the things that have happened to me. I'm a lot more open about the struggles that I've had. Because even throughout the marriage, I had a lot of emotional struggles. Having the babies, my first baby, I feel like a complete failure. The labor was horrific. It was traumatizing. And then my second one was triumphant and beautiful, and I still haven't even gotten to like really flesh out those stories. I'm working with a coach that's like really helping me get all these amazing stories out there, because people have, like I said, they've only heard really the surface level. There's so much deeper. There's so much healing, so much forgiveness I've had to do to be able to have a successful business, to be able to even function as an adult. Like most of the people who have gone through the trauma I've gone through can't even function, let alone run a business, and I've had to do an immense amount of work. Mindset work is the most important thing. Henry Ford has this quote. It's something like, thinking is really hard to do, which is why nobody does it. And so you changing your mindset, changing your thoughts, like that's hard work. It is the hardest work for most people, especially if you've experienced lots of trauma and lots of hardships. But it's crucial to have success in business. And I feel like that's something that not enough people are talking about in business. There's all these mindset coaches, and they just, coach whoever. But the ones that we need it more in the business space. We need more people to talk about this. There's people who they go through the motions. They do every single step that I tell them to do, and they still don't have results because their mindset's not in the right place.
And for the listeners, you have to understand that if you continue to allow your past to hold your future hostage, you're not going to be able to push forward. And it's ironically that you bring up mindset, because that's my level of expertise other than what we do. And if you don't have, you can show somebody everything to do from step A to step Z. If the mindset isn't there, they're going to stay in the past and they're not going to push forward. So I'm glad that you said that too, because I mean, that's part of our life mission as the Duncans and our legacy, to make sure that we work on the mindset too, because if you don't have that together, I don't care what you learn, who you sit down with, you're not going to go anywhere with it. Yeah.
And with myself, mindset has been a big struggle this past year. I've had a really rocky road, I separated from my ex in June. And there was this whole thing where I was almost feeling like an imposter, because it was like a divorce is like a failure to most people. And so I'm like, okay, on one hand, I have all of this success. I have this 7-figure business. I have a full-time nanny. I have the life, what people dream of. And then I make this post saying I'm separating from my husband. And I got a lot of support and all these sorts of things, but it just made me really feel like, well, what are they really thinking? Are they thinking I'm a failure? And I start getting wrapped up in these things, like, are they thinking this of me? And then I have to remember, it doesn't matter what they think of my situation now. It doesn't matter if they think, oh, maybe she didn't try hard enough. She has 3 kids. Why would she be doing that? There's going to be those judgmental people. But the thing is most people are going to support you when you're being honest and you're being open and you're not, hiding those things that aren't working, and I needed to share it as a public thing. I know some people think I shouldn't have even shared it. I should have just kind of kept up this mirage that I had, everything, the perfect husband with the long flowy hair, with the kids with their long flowing hair that matches, everybody thinks I should have, kind of kept that mirage. But I didn't want to. I was like, I needed to be authentic. I needed to let this out. And I had to do a lot of mindset work. I had a relationship coach. I had a spiritual coach. I had all sorts of people helping me work through this because it was a big deal. And I was feeling like a failure. And that's a hard thing to feel when I'm in a leadership position.
Right.
When the leader feels like a failure, what's that going to do to the ship? You know what I mean? Like, so I'm like, okay, like I don't want to crash this ship. I don't want holes in the ship either. So like how can I rebuild? And the way I've done that is just by being more authentic, being more myself, not hiding the things that like I would like normally hide in the past. And so it's been a really interesting journey the past 6 months. My mindset has just been very rewired, which happens with any big life events that happen to you. Whether you just got married, your brain is shifting.
Yeah.
Any big events that happen, maybe a death in the family, maybe someone gets sick. Like your brain is like shifting all the time, and it's so important to be on step with that and be like, hey, like I need to just stop and pause. Like the month of December, I didn't do any work. I was like, dude, I would have fired myself. You know what I mean? Like if I was an employee, I would have been like, you're fired. But I needed that time to just adjust. I moved to a new city right across the water. I lived in Manhattan, but it's so expensive to live in Manhattan. I was like, screw this place. I'm moving to Jersey. Yeah. Well, the thing is Brooklyn's just as expensive. I tried there. I was just like, okay, like, no. So I moved to Jersey City. My rent is half as much, literally half. And so I moved to Jersey City. So I was making these new decisions. I'm also now having to learn how to run my bank account because my ex-husband did that for 11 years of my life. And here I am like, oh, I have a 7-figure business and now I need to learn how to manage money because I didn't know how to do it before. So I'm literally having to relearn all these new things. And then once it hit December, I was like, mama needs a break. So I just chilled out in my bed, watched Netflix with the kids, hung out with my boyfriend. I just did myself. I was like, I'm just going to be me, take care of myself, refuel up for 2018. Now I'm ready to freaking crush it. Like 2018 I'm hitting it hard, so I needed that month time to relax. And I think a lot of people, they see like, oh, you need to hustle, you need to grind and hustle and grind, but you can't do that forever. You just can't. You must take breaks. You can't be like Gary Vee, which by the way, I think he must take some sort of special thing that makes him be able to even do what he's doing. I'm like, how many Red Bulls does this guy drink a day? I'm just like, I don't know what's going on. Like he that's just too much for me. Like I couldn't do that. Nor do I want to, and I think that it depends on what your goals are. If you want a 6-figure business, you can have a chill lifestyle and not have to hustle and grind as hard. Like right now, if I cut back my business to 6 figures, I would have like 3 clients a month and that'd be it. I could totally do that and have a 6-figure business. I wouldn't need to have like selling all these courses and doing all these launches and all these, other pieces. But I don't want to cut back that because I have other businesses I want to grow. The main reason why I want to make so much money in this business is to grow my other businesses, to grow my passion projects. Now I have my new Sacred Mama blog that's coming out. I don't even know how I'm going to monetize this thing yet, right? Like I just want to create content and put good stuff out there and see what happens, see what people like from me, the stories they want to hear from me. I want to share my journey, so it's a passion project, but I wouldn't have time for that if I didn't already grow a business, and I think a lot of people, they say, oh, I'm multi-passionate. How do I know which way to go? I say, go whichever way is going to make you the most money first. And they're like, what? And I say, well, money is important if you want to grow other things, and it doesn't mean that you should, just forget the things you're passionate about. No, you love those things. Keep up with those things. But you need to have money to build. Money is just a tool that we use. And I feel like everybody has like this negative money mindset. And when I was a kid, I was raised on MTV, right? Like my mom, she didn't really monitor what we like watched or whatever. And so I watched MTV. I'm like 5-6 years old. I was like obsessed with MTV and I still am. I love music. Like music is life, right? And I remember sitting there seeing Michael Jackson and Janet Jackson and Madonna and all these people. They're like donating money to like save all the kids in Africa and like all this sort of stuff. And I admired money. Like I was just like, wow, money can save people's lives. And my siblings, on the other hand, we were raised on welfare. My mother is a single mom with 5 kids. They all had a negative money mindset. They're all like, rich people are greedy, blah, 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 all of this stuff, right? And I've never once met a rich person that was greedy. Mm-hmm. Never once. They're always the most generous person ever. They're the one buying you all the drinks. They're, buying your food. They're like, hey, do you want to come, you want to come to Hawaii with me? Like hop on a plane. I'll get your ticket. Like they're very generous in giving. I'm like, dang, and it's because they can be, when you can't give what you don't have, right? And you want to be a person that's, supporting organizations, supporting your church. If you're poor, like you can't even give to your church. You can't even give to those organizations that you want to give to if you're still poor. So get out of that cycle of being poor. There's no point in staying there. And there's other people too that they have this thing like, oh, well, I just want to serve. I want to serve. And that's fine. It's great to serve. You don't have to sacrifice not having money in serving. Like those things aren't like separated from each other. Like, no, they are together. Like the reason why think about Tony Robbins. He is so wealthy because he serves so many people. Mm-hmm. And he is a servant-driven leader. And we can all be servant-driven leaders just like Tony Robbins. We can be and make significant money while doing it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I know that is one of the core values that you have, which is how, in my opinion, your brand has been able to grow, because that's like the thing that you do so well that you don't even think about. People are still trying to figure it out. I think we talked about it a little bit earlier. It's like you don't want to share with your audience because you're more driven about the money or, what the end result is for you. If you were more into serving people and giving them what they need, then everything else seems to follow and fall in place authentically. I don't agree that you're not a good salesperson. You're not. I mean, I don't believe that. You have generated $3 million in sales in 3 years. I think that you do pretty good at sales, but it's the way in which you do it. It's authentic. Yeah. It doesn't come off salesy. It's real. You really genuinely want to help and give. If you have an opportunity to share something that that's going to help someone else, you do it. That's who you are. And so it comes natural.
And I also think that we are meaning-making machines. We give everything meaning. People go on social media. They're looking at all of these thought leaders and even people who aren't thought leaders, and they're comparing themselves to these people's Instagram posts, these Facebook posts. And as you know, in these social media platforms, people only allow you what they want you to see. Yeah. And people allow that to be a standard for them. And then all of a sudden now, they're comparing themselves to what they haven't done. There's such a bad stigma on the word failure. And failure is actually, I always use it when you're in the gym and you want to grow muscle. You have to take your body to failure in order to grow. So until people can understand that mindset that you have to keep failing or you have to push yourself to your limits to see how much, what you're really made of. But people are afraid to do that because the stigma on money is bad. The stigma on failing is bad. The stigma on, even on, unfortunately having a divorce is a bad thing because society has created these false standards that people have to live by, which it takes away their authenticity as well. So
and the hilarious thing is 50% of mothers in America are divorced, are single, right? Yet there's this big societal stigma like, oh, all of a sudden you're a single mom, like you're going to be struggling, it's going to be hard, like all of this stuff. And it's like, it doesn't have to be that way. I create the life I want for myself. And even if I was still back on welfare, I would still be creating the greatest life for my children I could possibly create for them. And and when I was on welfare, I was listening to mindset books and law of attraction books and spending so much time healing myself. Mm-hmm. And happiness is from within. It's a choice too, which most people, they just let their circumstances affect that. And the thing is when I was on welfare, I was happy. I was able to be at home with my kids. I was able to cuddle them. I was able to nurse them. I was able to, just be, and so I was happy. Yes, I like having more impact on the world, and that's what my goal is, to impact millions of people. Like my friend Selena Sue, she has a program actually called Impacting Millions. And so that's my goal. Like, I want to impact millions of people's lives, and so I grew from that. And like you said, like most people, like literally when my second son was born, I felt like a complete loser and a complete failure. But you know what? That's what lit the fire under my ass to get to find my husband a job. I was like, we have to do this now. Like, we are not waiting anymore for something to just magically fall out of the sky. Like, we're going to make the opportunities happen. And creating opportunities is way easier than waiting for them.
Absolutely.
And so I do that every day. Yeah. I reach out to people. I connect and build relationships. I network with people. Everything I've built has been through Facebook. Facebook is a free platform where you can find people and message them. Same thing with LinkedIn. Like, if you want to connect with the CEO of a company, go on LinkedIn. They're all on there. Like, go find these people. Maybe not the CEO, maybe someone right underneath of them, on the ladder. And reach out to that guy, and then reach out to that other guy. Like, you never know. So the only thing is going to be a no. If you ask somebody for something, it could be a no. So what? A no doesn't mean no forever, and a no also means so what? Ask another person.
Yep.
Like, there's always more people to ask. There's billions of people in the world.
And we say we use no as a new opportunity to go get a yes. So.
Yep. And new opportunity.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was actually going to ask you that, because I know that you've been able to connect with a lot of influencers. I mean, you are an influencer yourself, but building your brand, you've been able to connect with a lot of influencers. Todd Herman, you mentioned Selena Sue, Gary Vee, all of these people that you've been able to have your brand connected to. That's so intimidating for a lot of people who are just trying to get out there. So how are you able to make those connections? Is it just reaching out to them, or through using Facebook and LinkedIn, or what did you do?
Well, the thing with Gary Vee, I actually made a video and posted it on Twitter, and then I asked my audience to retweet it for me. So that was how I really got on his radar, and that worked really well. It went really great. And I actually am friends with several people that like work with him and stuff like that. Like one of them, I saw him on the Bumble app, on the dating app, and I was like, oh hey, like what's up? And he's like, how's it going? Like, we like reconnected through Bumble. It's hilarious. But anyways, like, so. It's funny. But other people too, mainly just I would thank them and send them like gifts. That's another way I've connected with a lot of people. I just like find out what their business address is or the office address is and send them a gift. A great way that you could do this now is if one of your influencers that you like has a Facebook group, go inside of the members of that and look at the admins, because the admins, those are their assistants, right? So you can ask the assistants, like, hey, like what is their mailing address? I would love to send them a gift. Maybe it's a PO box, whatever. And a lot of times they're like, oh yeah, you're sending gifts to here. Because everybody kind of has that address. I got my PO box. People just send things to, or whatever.
What kind of gifts are you sending them?
Huh?
What kind of gifts are you sending them?
So there is one person particularly, I sent them Star Wars stuff because they like Star Wars a lot. Another person, I sent the Guardians of the Galaxy like toy for like their kids. A lot of times if they have kids, I send gifts for the kids because that seems to really pull on their heartstrings. They're like, oh, who is this chick with the blue hair, right? You kind of just stalk them a little bit on Instagram and on Facebook and Twitter and kind of see what they like and what they're interested in.
Well, with Gary Vee, he's a Jets fan like me, and I believe I might buy the Jets before him. So we got competition there because I'm a huge Jets fan, just like how he is. So, maybe, I could get on the show. We could talk about who's going to own the Jets first. You never know.
You just basically reached out to these people and just kind of put yourself in front of them and thank them for their contributions to your brand, your business.
Yeah, exactly. Pat Flynn, when I first connected with Pat, well, actually I connected with Pat through Derek Halpern. So Derek Halpern, me and him became friends actually through a Facebook post. I posted a screenshot of like some results I was having with Facebook ads, and he immediately messaged me and was like, oh, well, what are you doing? And I was just like, Derek Halpern messaging me? I'd barely been in business for like a few months, right? I'm like, oh, he's messaging me. Like, oh, okay, well, I've been on this guy's email list for like 5 years, like, all right, that's cool. And now we're pretty close friends. But we just started messaging, like, and he actually messaged me first, and I met him in person. And he was just like, like, I really want to know, like, what can I do for you? And I said, well, I really want to get on Pat Flynn's podcast. Like, Pat Flynn is someone who I have, like, idolized for years. He was the first person I found online when I started Googling how to make money with blogs. He was the first person I found. I've listened to all his podcasts. Like, I'd really love to be on his show, right? And Derek whipped out his phone and texted him right then and there and said, hey, Pat, like, this chick Kimra, like, you need to connect with her, blah, blah, blah. And then a few months later, I ended up being on his show, like right after I made like my first million. I got on his show. Nice. And that was like my dream come true. Like, literally, I was so nervous on that interview. If you guys go back and listen to that, you could hear I'm nervous in my voice. Like, I was so nervous. Like, I don't think I'd have been that nervous in my entire life. Like, I was like almost like wanting to like throw up. Like, I was my nerves were just like I couldn't believe it. And now I'm friends with Pat, so it's like it's kind of crazy like how all that works out, but it all just worked out for me being out there and being visible. Other people were actually kind of scared of me when I first came on the scene, because it was like, oh my gosh, this chick's doing like huge launches. Like, what is going on? So some other influencers kind of like stood back from me for a little while. They really didn't really want to, approach me or connect with me. Some of them declined me to be on their podcast and things like that. And I'm just like, there's a few people who declined me to be on their podcast and they're friends with me now. I was just like, you declined to me.
You're good, because I was like, no, you want to be down with me now.
It always works that way. That's just the way of the world, unfortunately.
Yeah. And it was just not the right timing or whatever. And maybe when I have my book coming out later, next year or something, maybe then they'll interview me or something. But anyway, so I became friends with people basically just by reaching out like through Facebook, connecting through Facebook, and then going to a lot of events. I actually ended up moving to New York City. One of the reasons why I moved to New York was specifically so I can network more and build my relationships, specifically. And of course, I'm friends with Selena Sue, who she knows like everybody. I'm friends with Chris Winfield, and he like knows everybody. So I kind of have like enough connections now where it's like I know a friend of a friend who can connect me with this, or someone connect me with this, and a lot of people, once you're kind of in the influencers type of circle, they want to connect you with other people. They'll just message you out of the blue and say, oh, I was talking to so-and-so and you'd be perfect. Like, you need to meet them, and they send us a cross message on Facebook, and that happens all the time to me now. When someone's like, oh, hey, they're looking for someone to talk about social media at this event, like, go speak. Okay, cool. Like, I get lots of speaking gigs through that now. I reached out to a lot of my network and said, hey, like 2018, I want to do a lot more speaking gigs. And I already had, multiple people for paid speaking gigs like reach out to me, and so it's happened really, really rapidly. I had like 8 people in like less than a few days like reach out for paid speaking gigs. Wow. And that's because I built those relationships, and I just reached out to my network and said, hey, this is something I'm looking for. If you guys know anybody who would love to have somebody like me speak on these types of topics, hit me up, like I'm your girl. And building those relationships is important. And I literally moved across the country so I can build relationships and grow my business even bigger. And after I moved here, that's when I had my first $1.2 million launch. And then after that, I had another launch. It was like $900,000 launch that I had the flu in the middle of and had to cancel multiple webinars. And I still did $900,000 on that launch. So, but I know it's because I built relationships. I've been able to build authority in that way by building those relationships. And like I said, it's just so important. It's just a crucial thing.
So let me ask you this question, and I know you're going to keep it real with me. So since you started your business in 2014, now up to 2018, so many things have changed. More people on the scene. It's noisy. Everywhere you look, somebody's an entrepreneur, somebody's teaching you about social media, branding, this, that, and the third. And it's a lot of noise.
Everybody's a mindset coach.
Yes, everybody's just out. And I think it's great because business, that's what keeps us employed, right? Because we're helping people build their brands, build their businesses. So yes, go out and start your business. But of course, that also makes it more noisy and makes it more harder for someone like yourself and us to stay relevant. So how do you keep yourself relevant as, you know, the social media trends change and more people are circulating in the mix as an entrepreneur?
Yeah. I mean, myself, I literally don't even know who the hell these people are. Like, I don't pay attention to any of them. I'm kind of at the point where I just pay attention to what my audience wants. People will be like, oh, have you heard of so-and-so? I'm like, who?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what? Like, what do they do? Like, I don't even know. Like, am I supposed to know this person? I really don't even focus on what other people are doing anymore. I really stay in my own lane. And it's kind of funny because the stuff I focus on most is actually stuff outside of my industry. You know, I'll go look at fashion blogs or other things like that to see what stuff outside is doing. Like, because the stuff inside, I feel like it kind of get almost like incestual, you know, it's all the same crap.
I agree with you. I'm
regurgitated, and it's just, it's icky.
Yeah.
So, and it just has that vibe that I don't like. And so I'm actually always looking at things outside of it. I mean, my new boyfriend, you know, he's a promoter and does lots of concerts. He tours a lot, manages bands. And now I'm like kind of seeing like some of the stuff like he's doing and things like that. And so it's good to look at industries outside of yourself rather than just sticking in your own. And that's kind of where I get like new ideas and how I'm able to stay ahead of the curve. You know, I don't think there's anybody that ever say, oh my gosh, Kimra, that content was boring. You know, that's never going to happen to me because I always know like this is something unique, something interesting. But I always like to stay on the pulse of that. You know, I'm always on the edge of everything, and I want to be at that edge, and I'm kind of just like that naturally. It's just been that way almost my whole life. I'm always like on the edge of like technology. I'm always like the first to like want to do things or try new apps or things like that. Like that's just how I naturally function as a person. And I think it's a good gift that I have, but I don't really pay attention to what's happening in the industry itself. Like I just don't. And I mean, I've never done my launches. Like I've never done, the product launch formula or any of that sort of stuff. I just do it my own way. And I always have done it my own way. I've never sacrificed the style I want to do it ever. I do it the way I want to do it. So yeah, it's to me, I stay relevant by just staying connected to my audience. That's how I stay relevant.
Awesome. So to close out the interview, I have a question, but do you have other things you'd like to add?
We could go on for hours.
I know, we could literally talk for hours, but I'm not going to do that to you. But I do want to ask you, I have two questions actually. So the first question is, as it relates to your audience and you showing up for your audience, we already know, having that connection with them is very important. So for somebody who's trying to start a business or trying to, connect with their audience, what are some of the best practices that you say as far as like, should they go live every day? Should they be posting every day? Or how many times should they make that connection with their audience on a weekly basis?
Yeah, when it comes to live streaming, I wouldn't say do every day. I mean, 1 or 2 really good live streams a week are great. And especially if they're on your Facebook business page, then you can actually pay for them to get out in front of more people. Creating consistent video content, like just solid 1 to 5 minute videos. They don't need to be long, of just like tips and guidance giving to people. But the biggest way is to just go on your Facebook business page or LinkedIn or whoever and directly reach out to people and say, what type of content would you like to see from me? And also ask people to share. Like if people are so afraid to ask someone that might be their peer or ask an ideal customer to share something of theirs. And a lot of times people are willing to share, because if you let them know what your mission is and why you're putting yourself out there, you're like, I really want to serve these types of people. Do you know anybody that has an audience of these types of people? I want to be able to connect with those people. It just takes asking. And, like I said, I'm really all about, like, a lot of people, they start off using like their personal Facebook page. Sometimes they're using their Instagram, whatever that is. If you see people that are liking your post on Instagram, why are you not sending them direct messages and asking them, how can I create better content for you? How can I stay connected with you? Because if you're doing that, guess what? They're going to start telling their friends about you. Mm-hmm. And word of mouth marketing is the strongest form of marketing there is. Why do you think people like Amazon reviews so much?
Mm-hmm.
You know, most people are going to read the reviews before they buy anything. Even if they buy from another website, they're going to go look on Amazon and see what somebody said about it. You know, like, because word of mouth is so important. We want to know what people's experiences are. You need to start sharing testimonials and case studies from your students, from your audience. People forget to share these.
I am the testimonial police. Okay.
His nickname.
Every time we're coaching someone or coaching them with their clients, get video testimonials. Like you said, get the case studies, because that's how people can see, they want to, they might not have the opportunity to try it before they buy it, but they'll be able to get an impact from somebody else's view. That's why I hate those word testimonials. They scare me. I mean, it's better than nothing, but when people can see the results that you create for people, it's gold.
Yeah, and during my launches, I usually have my testimonial videos on Facebook ads, and I push those out very heavily to people that have already, came to my sales page or been to my website, and those alone make sales. Like, people don't even have to read the whole sales page. They just watch a testimonial video and they're sold. They're just like, I'm in, I'm buying.
Right.
So yeah, it's very, very, very crucial. But I feel like people, they kind of forget it for some reason. It's very bizarre to me. And in certain audiences, it could be really hard to get someone to do a video for you, depending on what you're selling.
Right.
If you're like a sex coach, it might be kind of hard if someone's gonna like, oh yeah, they changed the, it might be kind of hard.
Somebody's been through a lot of trauma. They want their anonymity is very.
Mm-hmm. Or somebody plastic surgery. They may not want to reveal that they got some tips. You never know.
But there's still a lot of before and afters. I see.
There's a difference these days, though, with that.
So our last question, I promise it's the last question. So, you are really an open book, and I really do appreciate everything that you've been sharing. You've been very open. You've always been that way. So I already knew this was going to be amazing. What's one thing that you think people don't know about you that we need to know?
One thing people don't know about me? If people don't know about me, I don't know. This is a tough question. I'm pretty open with things publicly. Yeah. A lot of people don't know I'm a singer. I'm really into singing. Like, I love music. I play my guitar. I'm a guitar singer right there. I love playing guitar, singing. I really would love to actually have a YouTube channel of me like singing and stuff, but I feel it'll distract right now from like what I'm currently doing. Mm-hmm. So that'll have to be a little bit down the line. Mm-hmm. But that's a big part of my life is music. I love singing with my kids. My kids sing all day long. And I'm really, really into that. That's like my life, like I know like without music, I wouldn't be able to be where I am today. It was what helped me heal as a child and as a teenager, was music. And I feel like it's just something it's just so crucial to be in my life. I have to have it. I can't live without music. I go to lots of concerts. Lots. And luckily my boyfriend books lots of concerts. So it makes it really easy.
Yes.
That's where you started with the booking. So, you probably in bliss.
Well, and I've known my boyfriend for 12 years. So I actually met him through like way back then, like when I was doing concerts and stuff. That's actually how I know him. Warm leads, people. Well, and it's funny because I saw these people, they talk about like, they're like in the single moms groups, like, oh, dating's so hard. I was like, dude, talk to people you already know. Like, like the guys I've dated, like since I split up were people I knew. Mm-hmm. To me, that's way easier than going out cold on, using apps and stuff. Like try your warm audience first. When it comes to dating, go with a warm audience.
Okay, Kimra, so before we close out, do you have any upcoming projects or anything that you want to share with our audience?
Yes. So I just launched my Freedom Hackers Galaxy membership site. It's currently $20 a month. It's in beta. So I don't even have a sales page or anything for it. If you would like to get access to that and sign up, all you got to do is email me at support@Kimra, that's Kimra, Luna, LUNA.com. Support at KimraLuna.com. And me or one person on my team will make sure we get you the link. Every single month, there's new content. The month of January, we're focusing heavily on list building. Next month, we're focusing heavily on creating our digital courses and digital programs. And then other things down the line are going to be like launching, how to do live streams, how to create video content. We have a lot of great stuff we're rolling out for 2018. And I'm super, super pumped up about it. We currently only have like 30 members. Like I said, I barely have even mentioned it to people. And so I'm really hoping to get 1,000 people by the end of the year. So if you guys want to be part of that 1,000 and be part of my community, go and send me an email and hit me up or message me on Facebook, because I'm on Facebook all day. So, message me on Facebook. I'll get you the link.
We'll make sure that we'll put the link in the show notes. And then where can they find you? Just your website, your Instagram?
Yeah. Freedomhackers.com is the best place to find me. I have a lot of different free trainings over there. My Instagram, I answer every direct message on Instagram. If you just search at Kimra Luna on Instagram, or if you search Freedom Hackers, you'll find me there. And then on my Facebook business page, I do a lot of live streams. I have a lot of videos and content there. So just head on over, just search Freedom Hackers, and you'll be able to find me there.
Kimra, thank you so much for joining us today. I know that everybody is going to eat this interview up. You are a gem. I want you to continue being you and just sharing and being the gift and the light that you have been for so many people. And thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Yay.
Are you ready to take your brand to the next level? For more information, show notes, downloads, and free resources, head to www.damianandtimeesha.com, where you can find out more about this week's episode and the power couple behind it all.